How are you?
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the weekend. Okay, so this next story, I did not want to do. I did not want to do this video. Me and Andrea debated about it, but it is hot topics. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Netflix film series, Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, this is plagued with so much problems. This series is plagued with a lot of problems. Let me make sure I have everything ready before I get into it. Hi, Andrea. I love Andrea. So I'm gonna do it, Andrea. Let's do it. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, I don't even know where to begin. So Netflix released a movie, a series, I'm sorry, docu-series a couple of days ago, recovering the Jeffrey Dahmer uh tragedy. That's what I'm going to call it. The Jeffrey Dahmer tragedy. Um, from day one, it was people protesting, family members saying that it's re-traumatizing. Um, it was just was it debuted number one in the history of Netflix. This debuted number one, so it outbeat everything on Netflix. And Netflix have what, so many movies and documentaries that I've lost count. Out of all of that, all of their great comedy shows and all of this, Jeffrey Dahmer debuted at number one. Yes, it did. So I had heard of the families complaining before I even watched the movie, and I said, "Well, let me go ahead and watch it before I even talk about it because there's a lot going on around it." So I watched it. No, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. Something about it, excuse me, was so graphic. I don't know. Ugh. It was just icky to me. But don't forget, you guys, I'm a lightweight. I don't like a lot of blood and stuff like that. I just don't. But not even that, just getting into his head. And, if you ask me, the father, the parents kind of helped create this mess because they used to pick up roadkill. The dad, my dad used to take me out for ice cream, not to go pick up roadkill and then gut it. Like, the what? And of course, the family had a lot of problems. Okay, so that's my interpretation on it. So I understand where the family's coming from. The families are pissed. They said they got no warning that this was coming. They said it's like reliving it all over again. The actor, God, what was his name? This is his picture right here. Doesn't he look like the real Jeffrey Dahmer? This is him. This is the real guy. It was too real for me. I just didn't like it. But let's get to the problem. So here's the actor who did, I guess, a good job. I mean, every time I see him, the actor, I'm going to run. I'll look up his name in a little bit because he deserves to get credit because he was a good actor. But let's start talking about some of the problems that this film is having. So there's a crime writer. Her name is Ann Schwartz. Let me see if I can get this picture up here. Hold on. I love a good picture. Oh, here it is. There we go. She's saying that she was one of the first reporters to cover the case. Um, and I think she started reporting on it in 1992 when it all took place. She was one of the first people to cover the case. Now she's going around saying, let me put up this article because you know how people get if I don't have the article. She's saying that the movie's full of lies and exaggerations. Now, my first thought was that exaggerations, what are they exaggerating about? Well, her coming out speaking, let me try to put this on the screen so people don't think, so people know where I got this information. Her coming out saying that, straight up accusing Netflix of lying and being dramatic, caused them to come out and admit to it. They said they had to reenact some scenes and what is the word they use? Dramatize a couple of scenes for artistic effect. This is so weird. Artistic effect. I thought eating people was, a big enough effect. What more do we need? But they admit to buffing it up, boosting it, dramatizing it. I don't know the words. Ann Schwartz said that here's an example of some of the things that they got wrong. The neighbor who was played by Niecy Nash. I should have put her picture up, but I was rushing. Niecy Nash did not live next door to him and was not the one that called the cops. The person who called the cops was in a totally different building. Okay, fine. It doesn't matter. We get the gist of what's going on. Also, reenacting some of the scenes, putting things that happened together at one time. So I guess, I don't know. I guess they do have to. Well, this is I don't even know how I feel about them lying and inserting scenes and boosting things like in the club and things like that. I guess he wasn't with three guys when they met. It was them alone. And I don't know. I don't even know if that is the problem. I want to know what they mean by they had to beef up some scenes for artistic reasons. I mean, I don't know. It is a mess. It is a mess. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Oh, Peter, thank you, Selena. Evan Peters is the actor's name. He did an amazing job. Okay, so we got her going around saying that they lied and that they made things more dramatic than it already was. We have the family members really upset, saying that it was like living it all over again. What did I do with that? So one of the family members that came out, her name is Rita Isabel. This is the scene. We kind of remember this from real life, or unless I'm just old. I remember this in real life. To the left is the real person. To the right is the actor.
My name is Rita Isabel, and I'm the oldest sister of Errol Lindsay. Whatever your name is, Satan. I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. Now, I don't want to ever have to see my mother go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you, motherfucker. I hate you. This is out of control. Don't fuck with me, Jeffrey. I'll kill you guys.
Okay, that's enough. I don't even like watching it. The movie was too dramatic for me. But anyway, she came out. She said that Netflix was wrong for doing this. They didn't give them a heads up. She had to live it all over again. And other family members is telling her she shouldn't sue Netflix. I mean, I get it. I get it. So, she's got to do what she's got to do. I mean, to go through that again. And if you guys seen this movie, has anyone in the chat seen the movie? It is absolutely chilling. Too chilling. It felt too, I don't know. I didn't like it at all. So we've got that going on. Also, let's talk about the Tracy Edwards, the guy in the movie, The Only Survivor. Hold on. Let me go ahead. So Little Boozy came out and he's actually asking people to ban the movie.
Us as blacks, we need to ban this Jeffrey Dahmer movie. This is some sick shit. What he did to our race. This is some sick shit. We need to boycott this damn movie off Netflix. This is sick. This is sick. The victim family should be getting paid off every dollar Netflix made. This is fucking sick. We need to ban this Jeffrey Dahmer movie. This is some sick shit. It's sick.
Now people are asking for it are actually trying to boycott the movie. I mean, it's going to be sick because he was a disturbed individual. There, I'll put it that way. He was disturbed, and you know what you're watching when you go into it. A lot of people didn't want this movie made, but they're making a killing out of it. And somebody's watching it to debut at #1 like that in the history of Netflix, and they've had all kind of movies. I don't know about boycotting. Me personally, there are people out there just starting to boycott. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. It's not like they're asking you to watch it. As far as the family members, I get it. You should have been warned that it was coming. Now, let's talk about Tracy Edwards. Put that right here. Tracy Edwards was the only survivor. He was the guy that got away, and they're labeling him the hero. They're labeling him the hero because if not for him, who knows how much longer this would have went on. I mean, it's very, very disturbing. I mean, oh, anyway, they're labeling him the hero and saying that, but for him, they don't know what would happen. With that being said, this impacted his life severely. Okay. He was never the same, family members are saying, after what happened to him. And I don't know how I would be if that happened to me. I mean, I probably would be a basket case, but he was never the same. They said that he could never get his life back on track. They said that he was in and out of jail. He was arrested a lot of times for drug paraphernalia, stealing. We're not gonna. All kinds of things like that. He was homeless. He also failed to pay child support. He was also arrested for property damage. He was in and out of jail. He will be homeless. The family tried to help him. They said he was just a lost cause and never got back to the way that he was. He also spent 10 years in prison for pushing another homeless person off a bridge. He spent 10 years in prison for that. And as of today, they just don't know where he is. I feel bad for him. If I didn't want to watch this movie and it's just a movie, I know nothing's going to happen to me. I can't imagine living it in real life. Probably the things that happened to him, the things that he's seen, he probably just couldn't get out of his head. I feel bad for him. But Jeffrey messed up a lot of lives, a lot. And he was a very sick individual. Yeah, that's right. Some people say it would probably give him PTSD. It was really, he looks a mess here. And I'm being told that he looked even worse when he got out of prison. He just doesn't look like the same man. Face sunken in. I don't know, guys. So I wanted to come on and talk about that and how it seems that everyone's calling this movie out. Also, the Washington Post said that this movie should have never been made. They should have left the past in the past. So a lot of people are complaining about it, but somebody's watching it to debut at #1. So that's what's going on with that. I hope I got everything. I did not want to do this video because that movie was that bad to me. I had to turn it down at times, look away at times, stopped it for a day. I was like, I can't. It puts you in a bad place. But if you're a true blue, true crime person, you might like it. Has anyone in the chat seen the movie? Because yeah. Exactly. It was very triggering. And so, everyone involved, his mother's no longer with us. His father has remarried. For me personally, I just feel that they kind of, I don't want to blame the parents, but who takes their son, drive around town with a shovel looking for roadkill, dead animals that you scoop up, put in a box, and go home and start cutting into them? My mom used to take me roller skating when we wanted to bond. I just feel like there's something wrong with the father. Now, he did say that in his younger life, he had visions of taking other people's lives. I'll put it that way. The whole thing is a hot mess, but it's a trending topic. And so I wanted you guys to know this. This is what they're talking about. It's a hot topic, and lots of people are watching the movie and talking about it. Let's see what you guys have to say. His mom was popping a lot of pills as well. Remember? Oh, God. Add pills to the mix. No, I just know that she suffered from depression. I know that. But look, it's crazy. You watched it. I watched it. It was real life. Also, there are other movies made about this. It's true. But I haven't seen those other movies. And this one's just getting a lot of complaints. He drank too. Jeffrey? Oh, the dad. Did he? Let me do this. It's just something I don't even like talking about. I just don't. It really gave me the creeps. I don't know. I like true crime though. I do. Okay, the chat's going fast, guys. You guys are going fast. Wow. Let me start reading some of your. There you go. It's just too much for me. It is. It just is too much. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Okay, we got a couple people that want to talk about it. Hey, Mel. Can you hear me?
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Hey, Sebastian.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, we got a lot of people want to talk about it. Wow. Hold on. Oh, I filled up. All right. Let's start with you guys. Mel, did you see it?
You know what? I started it. I was busy this week, so I saw the first episode when the man escaped. But you know what I wanted to say too? I grew up in a time when, and you probably did too. You remember the days when we used to watch Betty Broderick and the cheerleader stories where people try to kill each other. So back in the day, and we remember this because I'm 40. We remember that the TV movies, the TV movie of the week was always these murder mysteries and serial killers. I remember when I was younger, the John Wayne Gacy with Brian Denny, he scared the crap out of me. And that was on network TV. So, I think that we just live in different times when you do true life stories, people do, feel a certain way when this victim's being, exploited basically. But I want to see.
You feel bad for the victims?
I do.
I mean, for the families that are complaining now and thinking about suing?
I do. I think that back in the day, we didn't really sort of get that concept that, these movies are not just entertainment, they're actually telling people's real stories. So, I think that the victims are saying, listen, you know what? I know y'all want entertainment on Netflix, but this is our lives. But even though it was 40 years ago, we are still healing from the horrific crimes. But I want to say about the father. When I watched his interview before the movie even came out on Oprah, because Oprah was grilling him. And I brought what the father was saying until I watched the movie and said, wait a minute, because you just asked, what kind of person, goes around and pick up roadkill? I said, well, serial killer's dad does that. Okay, because listen, so in the Oprah interview, he's like, oh, I didn't see anything. And we didn't see any signs. But then we watched the movie like, wait a minute, you basically built this deranged man. You built him with all this deranged imagery and cutting and that kind of stuff is not meant for children. You're not supposed to be tearing apart animals and no.
The father ruined him. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that? Sebastian, sound off.
I did not watch it. I actually want to go on a rant about the old person who decided to resurface this nastiness up in the 21st century. I was not even born when this nonsense. I did not want to see this nonsense, but now I really do have to watch it. It's sad. It's very sad.
I agree. We lived it. I know the younger people did not live it, but why do we? I don't know. Maybe you're right. For history, you can't rewrite history, and it happened, but I don't know. It was very graphic. Diva, let me read the super chat really quick. Unfortunately, for the most part, this was a true documentary. Yes, a few things were changed. I live near the town Jeffrey grew up in, Ohio. Oh, wow. I followed this case closely. This was true to what happened. It was graphic. Oh, that's Sheila. Wow. Sheila.
Wow.
Diva, sound off. This is, did you watch it?
I watched all 10 episodes because I was debating too if I was going to talk about it because it's such a sensitive topic, right? Mm-hmm. And so I understand the family being upset, right? And I understand that it's traumatizing, but unfortunately, they don't have to contact them. It's public information. And other movies have been done on it. And so, and even when they did was that movie, the documentary, When They See Us, about the Central Park 5, like they did contact them because they wanted, some information from them. But unfortunately, you can do these type of movies and they happen on the time on different channels, like, 48 Hour, all of that. There's so many crime movies and horrific killers that they reenact and they do a movie on. I took this movie as part of it. When you get past episode 5, they kind of humanize, not all 17 victims, but at least one of them, because they tell like his story from the beginning, like how he was deaf, and they try to make it so that you're not just hearing that these were just 17 individuals that were killed in this way and mutilated and eaten, right?
So you like it? You like the movie?
The movie, it was what it was. It's hard to like a movie. I mean, it was well done for what they were doing. But it's horrific and it's sad. But I think what some people got to try to get out of it is that from what it appeared in the movie, I mean, I don't know how much was true to life, that, when you meet individuals like this, a lot of them, like, they met him, they trust him, and, they went with him that night, so to speak. But it also speaks to how police departments, which we already know, right? True. How when it's a certain individual, whether it's an individual of color or individual of a certain community.
So let me just say it. Everyone's saying that the police dropped the ball because these were minorities.
Well,
no, black people.
They would never.
Minorities, part of the LGBTQ community,
gay and black. So that's like a double craziness for the.
It was a double. It was a lot of dynamics going on. Especially the one that really broke my heart is the young boy who got out of the house, and he could have sent back to the house. The one they sent back. They sent back. And I think when I was talking, I don't know if it was you, Mel, or somebody, I said, I wonder if this was a female that came out that apartment with no clothes on, looking distressed and beat up. Would they have sent her back? I don't think they would have, because I think they would have took that as maybe more domestic abuse. Because go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, what, Eva, I think this is more of an indictment also of the police department. Because for me, the way that they handled this case, now mind you, he was sloppy. He wasn't the most brilliant serial killer. It was the fact that these police department in that community with my gay brother's black man who happened to be gay, they just were the lowest on the totem pole in the eyes of the police, in my opinion. So when this monster, deranged monster, was going around savaging the whole community, they turned a blind eye. It's almost like the same thing when it comes to the woman of the night, the people at the truck stops that go missing. And then they don't give them the due that they deserve. So the same thing happened because they happen to be black. And this is before the movement we have now. So back then they were like, oh, LGBT people, black people, oh, forget about that. We ain't gonna. It made me angry to watch, actually, as a gay black man.
It really was.
Yeah.
Apartments. What did you think? Did you watch it?
Unfortunately, I lived through the era like you, along with Casey and Son of Sam. We have to live in terror with these things running around. The sad part about it is I think that the government is subliminally trying to start copycats. They got movies For My Man and, things like that. So subliminally hypnotizing the young generation.
You're saying that it gives other people ideas in a sick mind. It can give you an idea.
Yes.
So what about the fact that it's true?
I know
this is
that makes it even worse because it shows you how the police department still don't care about Black Americans. But let me get to this. Aren't the families supposed to be collecting any benefits made, any money made from these movies?
No. If you do it as a autobiography where they get to tell their side, then they will be paid. But if it's a biography or a documentary, they don't.
No, then the family needs to sue for mental anguish.
But if they do that, isn't that going to bring everything back even more?
They already been through it. They got to go through it again. Netflix made millions of dollars off of this. And they're going to be making millions or more. No, they just need to sue Netflix. Enough is enough.
Can I add one thing? I was going to say this thing. I think that I agree because for me, this movie is just sort of hitting me in different places, I guess, because it's close to home. But I think that Scream was a very
Wait, what
popular.
do you mean it's close to home?
Well, no, just watching as a black gay man. It's just sort of,
Oh, I thought,
yeah.
I
So,
thought.
no. Just sort of those messages there, like, oh my gosh, if I was born a different time there, could I, So it's just a lot of things going in my head when I watch it. But Scream was a very popular franchise, which was based on the Gainesville Ripper, who just was savaging all the people up in Florida. So
Really?
yes, it was. It was more brutal than the movies. So I think that Hollywood always takes the sort of real life tragedies and horrific crimes, and they benefit. It's been going on since the beginning of time. I mean, So I don't know. I don't
So,
know.
Mel, did you see that they tried to tie this to the LGBTQ community by hashtagging it and putting it in their gay section? Did you hear about that?
You talk about the movies, the feature being on that part of the section of Netflix.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. No, I just
You
saw
didn't
it.
hear about that?
No, I just noticed on the main page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. But you know what, Sharrell, this is not the first movie made about him. So the family is going to sue.
They should.
But I'm saying that they're going to sue. They got a lot of suing to do because there was many movies made before this particular one. This is not the first movie made about Dahmer. There was movies made when it first happened. There's many movies made about him.
It's a lot about
it
him.
looks more graphic on the families, though, this particular movie. And let me say this. There's another movie around there. I don't know if it's on Netflix about this woman killing her children. I tried to watch it, but they was actually hypnotizing people. The blogger that told everybody to watch the movie was acting all crazy at the end. So I need help, I need therapy. So I was trying to watch this movie, and all of a sudden they had these stars twinkling around and all these signs and symbols twinkling around. I said, nah, this is a little too demonic. They are really seriously trying to brainwash and hypnotize people.
I can't. Yeah. Anyway, I had a long line. A lot of people want to talk about this. This is crazy, isn't it?
Okay, I want to hear some more opinions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. This is crazy. A lot of people want to talk about it. Mel, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Have a good weekend, ladies.
You too. Oh, have a good weekend. Yeah. All right. Hi, Selena. Hey, Bree.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Let's start with you, Selena. Sound off. Can you hear us, Selena?
Yeah, I hear you. Now, okay. I'll be watching like crazy stuff like that, like about all those serial killers and stuff like that. Like, I know it's really sad. And like, if people felt the way about Dahmer, they need to feel the same way about Ted Bundy, because they had a Netflix series on him too, and he another
did. And people were well, what Diva? What is that? The Ted Bundy didn't create all of this havoc.
I think because many of his victims was of the Black and brown community, people are taking it a different way. But like I said, it's like, so many movies are made about these same things. And somebody being so rude telling me to shut up. If you don't like what I'm here saying, close your ears. Like, but but I'm just, it's just my opinion. But I think it's really because it's the Black and brown community, and it's and because also it's like the police ignored, all of the cries about Dahmer, and they feel like, and I do feel like this too, a lot of these people could have been saved if they simply listened to the cries of the people. And I think also too, it's what he did to the body. So these people, the families couldn't even really properly, I don't know if would like to say, like, even collect the body of their loved one because what he did to the bodies.
I also think too that this movie, the actors were really good. It felt real.
Like, I mean, I know what you mean. It is about a real story, but your emotions were really in it as you were watching it. Yeah. Like it really was. And it was so sad. The biggest one that broke my heart was the boy that got out and they sent him back. I just, and the way they reacted, and they said it was real footage from the actual call where the neighbor kept calling and saying, what happened to him? The boy, it looked like a young boy. Is he okay? And they kept telling her, don't worry about it.
Selena, do you have anything to add? This is crazy.
He just another crazy clan, man. They be doing crazy things like that. Like it's all crazy. The first episode got me upset because I would have been out of there. He was taking too long to hit it with that damn lamp. Like I would have been out already. Like they doing too much in there. But he's a weirdo. His parents are weird, and he just sick. All of them is just sick in there. It's sad.
Pia, did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it, and the funny thing is I was born in 1982, so I was a child. Okay, when the story broke, and certain things stuck with me as a child from it. I remember the forensics team coming out of his apartment in the hazmat suits.
Now you live in a different place, or did you live nearby?
No, I live in a different place. This was worldwide news.
Yeah, right.
When it broke. So I remember, like I said, the forensics team coming out with the drum and the hazmat suit. I remember the woman in the courtroom, and then I remember Jeffrey giving the interview and talking about it the way you and I are speaking. Seeing it though now as a 39-year-old adult and being able to understand it, I'm not going to lie. When I heard the victim impact statement and the fact that he murdered the boy that was deaf, who was actually his friend, he knew what he was about to do was wrong, and he hesitated. And when the mom got up there and read her impact statement, I broke down in tears. I was crying because it was hard, because I was like, how could you do that? And what really bothered me the most is his mother. Jeffrey's mom really, she bothered me because I don't know what type of resolution she was looking for as far as wanting his brain to be dissected and whatnot to see why he was the way he was. He was the way he was because of you. Okay? No, and it's the truth, because unfortunately back then, especially if you were a female, we were guinea pigs as far as medication. She probably had mental health issues before. Then she was pregnant, which made it worse. She was on painkillers, sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medicine, medication she didn't even need to be on. So mentally, that is going to screw a kid up. Not to mention, you were an alcoholic. He came home to you almost dead from a suicide attempt. Then you up and abandoned him.
It's a lot. This is a lot.
Right. So the mother was sick herself.
She was sick.
The whole family was sick. The whole family.
She was very sick. And the fact that the father was like, frankly, I was uncomfortable with being around him. Yeah, but both you and your wife dropped the ball, because there is a scene where the boy is actually telling his dad, there's something wrong with me. I have these thoughts, and he just keeps brushing it off. But
it's crazy. Yeah.
And it was just the whole thing, like I said, it was just so eerie, because like I said, as an adult now, I understand it. And like, Evan Peters did a wonderful job portraying Dahmer, to the point where he said that while he watched a lot of interviews and that he suffered from depression while making this film.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I wonder if something's wrong with Evan.
Evan is fine. Lisa Nash said the same thing though, Sharrell. Yeah. She said that she really had to fall into the arms of her husband, because she was on the Sherry Shepherd show and she said it. She said it was so emotionally draining, because it felt so real, and they couldn't take it, especially because they knew, what happened to the individual. Like he didn't just kill them, like he mutilated them. He was eating them.
And the fact that the two police officers were not only reinstated, but they were making hate calls to the Asian family.
Oh, Okay, let me read this. As a Black, gay, single man, this series taught me an important lesson in many ways. These real life stories need to be told to the next generation. I guess so. So, Andrea, you wanted to say
Exactly.
something really
Exactly.
bad. What do you want to say?
Exactly.
Sound off, Andrea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We having phone problems, so let me make it quick so I can get off. I followed this story, and I followed the Unabomber story, and I followed the clown story. All these people were sick individuals. Jeffrey's sickness started with his family. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but unfortunately, this was going on in America. This is happening
Back
now.
then, do you guys notice we
I
don't
feel
have a lot of serial killers these days?
Yeah, we do.
no,
We just not
I
figuring them
can hear
out, or
you.
they're figuring it out. We just
We
don't.
do.
They here.
Yeah,
They in hiding, but they here.
I mean,
Hmm.
but the thing of it is that we have what's known as copycat killers. Like in '93,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there
I
was a
agree.
new. Yep, in '93 there was a new Zodiac killer who got caught. Okay,
Okay.
you
I
know,
agree.
and the same thing. And see, the reason why Ted Bundy's story didn't get that much traction is because a for some odd reason, because I saw his story as well, they portrayed him as this, which I don't know what was wrong with females back then, as this good looking man. And he was like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
man next door. And he was primarily
Exactly.
going after females. So they didn't really make a big deal about this story, about Ted Bundy. The same thing with John Wayne Gacy, the infamous killer clown. They didn't really make a film about him because again, he was gay and he was killing primarily gay men.
Okay, I got a long line. Thank you,
Exactly.
Kia, for calling in. I appreciate the call.
You're welcome.
Take care. Thank you,
I
Selena. You're my ride or
I
die.
want. I want to say. I want to say
Hold on,
this,
hold
and
on,
then
hold on,
I'm
Andrea.
gonna let.
Let me drop these people so we can hear. Hold on.
I said, I got you,
Take-
Sharrell. I got you. I got you.
Thank you, Selena. Take care. Okay, go ahead, Andrea. Go ahead.
Oh,
Can
you
you hear
talking to
us?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can hear you. The only thing I want to say is that, we had a similar case in Gwinnett County down here in Georgia where this man was going around at night attacking just women. And when they finally caught him, he was a regular man with a regular family, with a regular job. And the only thing I'm saying is this, people don't like this movie. But y'all, it's what's going on. This has happened. You can't hide this. This is the sick, horrible behavior. And the sad part about it, this started with him when he was a child. His father introduced him into this behavior.
Well, you think that by
So
picking up
I'm
the
glad.
road, I can't. You think by picking up the roadkill, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And his mama ignored it. And his father introduced him to this bad, horrible behavior. And he just, he lost it. But the sad thing about it is that I feel for the family. I know what they're going through in America. This kind of behavior do happen. It happens.
I agree with Andrea, and I mean, and I don't want to seem insensitive, but it is what it is. It happened. They make documentaries. Documentaries are based on real events, you know? I just want to know, like, can the families actually legally do something? Like, do they have, like, yeah, they can sue, but do you guys think they'd actually win? I mean, what are they going based off of? Hurt feelings? Like, what would be
They can
the,
sue for not. Well, she has a point. Oh, okay. Andrea's been dropped again. Let me bring up some new people. Hold on. Let me read this really quickly, too. Jeffrey grew up in a very rich community. This documentary was very true to life and brought back so many memories. I can only imagine how the victim families are feeling. Emmanuel, sound off.
Okay. So I'm 19. So I didn't really know about any of this until recently. I did start watching it, but I stopped. It was too much. Not
It's too
just
much.
the story itself, but I try to like just even imagine what went through everyone who was affected. And I just couldn't do it. I do agree with Diva that this is, public information. So I don't really know if they could win a lawsuit because there's been movies about O.J. Simpson murder, Ted Bundy. There's been so much like this, but I definitely understand the outrage because my generation is the ones that grew up with school shootings. I can't imagine if they did like a TV show about that or a movie if I could watch it. So I see both sides, honestly.
Deb, do you think the family could sue?
I don't think that they can sue. And
No.
what I mean, they probably can. I don't think that they're going to win because even when they were talking, when they were in the documentary, they were suing when the father wrote the book, and they lost that because it doesn't it wouldn't make any sense to me. I feel like we should be able to see this because this shows another time that our police
But
has been
have you
dropping
seen
the
it?
ball. I watched it twice.
Oh, twice.
Yes, and I'm
Wasn't
gonna
it
tell you.
chilling?
I'm gonna tell you why I watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I think I was like 8 years old when this was going on, so I didn't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about it. I had no idea that the majority of people he killed were black. I didn't know about gay people. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Oh.
So I was really interested in to see what happened. And I think the Virgo in me was like trying to figure out why was he doing this? What was his tick? Like, what was making him like do these things? And so after I watched it, like I went on YouTube and went down the rabbit hole. I mean, I started watching the documentaries. I watched Oprah. I watched the interviews. I watched the court cases. Um, and you see the differences because I know someone had mentioned that that Glenda, she wasn't in the building with him,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a lady. They were saying that it was a combination of the lady that was across the hall from him and Glenda combined.
Mm-hmm.
And the real reason I think I originally watched it was because Niecy Nash was in it. And I thought it was more of them telling Glenda's story. I didn't know it was like the real Jeffrey Dahmer story. I thought it was them telling Glenda's side of the story from what she's seen. But watching it just made me understand. It made me understand how we are not protected as black people, or gay black people, or black people. Period. And I think that's the biggest message that I got from it. I already have an issue with trusting police, and then this just is another reason why not to, because a lot of the comments were, well, it's a gay relationship. We're going to take him back into the house. They took that boy back in the house because it was a gay relationship. They didn't even want to go into the house. There
I
was
know.
literally a dead man laying on the side of the bed. They did not
Mm-hmm.
go in that man's bedroom to even investigate anything.
They definitely dropped the ball. They dropped
And I
the
think that's
ball.
why we need to this needed to come out because before this I had no idea.
Right. And
I had
I
absolutely no
forgot
I,
about
idea.
the
I thought it was
babies.
another
just some guy that was eating people, like Hannibal Lecter. I
But I
just
think the
thought
other the
like
other
there's
thing
no.
that strikes me is people like Bootsy, who are on this rampage because Bootsy does not care about the LGBT community, but and the same hate that he spews out in the world is reasons why people like Jeffrey Dahmer exist and why we get
Mm.
ignored when they call the police because of people like him. So this is not a full black issue, and maybe he didn't watch it, he doesn't understand, or he doesn't even know what really happened in the show, because I can guarantee you that would not be his same stance as had he watched it and understood what really happened in this. And even listening to Jeffrey Dahmer talk, he kept saying, well, it wasn't really a black issue. It wasn't a this, and this issue. The man was just mentally sick. And I watched the Oprah interview when when she interviewed the dad. And I don't know how true the story was with him driving Jeffrey Dahmer around looking for dead animals, but I know that he was talking about how the kids in the neighborhood were telling him that Jeffrey was riding around on his bike looking for dead animals.
Ugh.
And they were asking him,
Jeez.
well, how did you not know? And so she showed like the property where they lived at. And he was saying this property, like literally, it's like heavily wooded. So how he was doing it, like he was hiding it, like they didn't know. And then she also asked him, because I guess he was taking them fishing. And Jeffrey, I guess during the court cases, he was saying that when they were gutting the fish and things like that, like it was turning them on or whatever.
Oh, I
But
can't.
but the
Ugh.
father was saying that like Jeffrey never showed that to him. He was like he learned that during the court case. And I think that, learning of that his mother was taking all those pills while she was pregnant, um, all the things they were going through in their relationship, like, yeah, we can all sit around and point fingers because, we didn't live it. But we also know how tumultuous it is to go through a divorce. We know what it's like to go through things like this. That boy sat in a whole household and the father didn't even know by himself for months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the finger pointing thing for me, I get it, but I also understand that sometimes life is happening at the same time, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know, like the father was like just trying to relate to Jeffrey, so him dissecting animals was the thing for him. He thought that was like him making a connection with his son.
I
But
think though, Deb, we have to finger point. We want to know what happened and how to prevent this. This was a mess.
Well, that was the sad part for me. I guess at the end of it, when they pulled the father and the mother in, and they told them that they had not cremated his brain, and
Ugh.
they wanted to dissect his brain and try to figure things out. And I forgot what the other guy's name is. You guys just talked about him, but they basically said that they did his brain that way, and that he came back that was just normal. So his father just automatically said, well, Jeffrey's normal too. But I wish that they would have, because the mother wanted them to go, dissect the brain and kind of figure out what was going on with it. And I think it was more for her. I think it was a lot for her as well for him, because I felt like she felt guilt for what happened with
Yeah,
him,
you
because
would
she
feel
knew that she
guilt.
was taking all those pills and she knew that she had abandoned him. And I think her wanting that was to get a little bit of vindication for the families, to see that, what, this is what's going on in his brain, like maybe in the future we can help or whatever. But because his father was so angry at her, he just automatically let it go. And then the judge was like, we don't need to know nothing about it. But in reality, it would have been good to know.
And Jay, did you watch it?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it and I kind of watched it when you mentioned that why this movie was trending number one. I think it's because Ryan Murphy, the director, because if you were into American Horror Story, he has a huge fan base. And just with his name attached
Oh.
to it, that kind of drew, I think, a bigger crowd than the other ones. But that's kind of why I said, okay, let me check this one out because I was familiar with his work.
Evan Peters was in American
Um.
Horror Story as well.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Um.
Evan Peters does a lot of work like this.
Bree, I still got a long line. Let me bring up some more callers. Thank you so much for calling in. I
No problem. Have
appreciate
a
it.
good day, guys.
Emmanuel, thank you so
Sharrell,
much for.
I want
Hold
to
on one
say
second.
this.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
So I could hear better. Hold on. Go ahead, Deb.
I also want to say this. So the guy that got away, so I watched him when he was on the stand too on YouTube.
You're Tracy Edwards.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So one thing that I realized was that he wasn't even gay. And
What?
that
He
he was
wasn't?
no, he was there. Jeffrey met him. They met him at the mall,
Oh,
and
so
it was
that's the stuff that they said that they're adding in. Well, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. Yeah.
It was him and three of his friends, and Jeffrey was trying to convince him that he wanted to take new pictures of them. And at the time, I guess the guy needed money because he lost his job or something. So
Mm.
Jeffrey had convinced all of them to come back to his house, but the other guys wanted to go home and change their clothes. And that guy was like, well, I'm gonna just go with him. So he went with Jeffrey. Jeffrey gave the friends the wrong address.
This is creepy. And Jay, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We got a lot of people. Shannon, can you hear me?
Hi, how you guys?
Good. Did you watch it?
Yes, I did. I did it in 2 days. I knew a little bit about Jeffrey Dahmer because I watched the documentaries in the past. What I liked about this movie, it showed more of the Black people that were affected. In his other documentaries and movies, it was focused on him, and I'm glad they brought everything to light about the Black people that were involved. Also, I did like the last caller, the guy. I wish they would have did something with his brain because we're saying the mother had all these drugs she was taking when she was pregnant. I don't know how she ended up getting that job, but it is what it is. But she
Yeah.
had all these drugs she was taking, but then the father had a background of chemistry too, so he was into biological stuff like that. So I just think something was wrong with this dude anyway, Jeffrey. And I went back and saw Dahmer versus Dahmer on Peacock is going on now, his documentary. He said something was wrong with me. He said I wasn't abused.
He said something's wrong with me.
Yeah, he said it in the movie and he said it in a documentary that I looked at yesterday on Peacock. He said, I knew something was wrong with me. He told his grandmother something was wrong with him. He told his father something was wrong with him.
If I have the wherewithal to know that something's wrong with me, then why don't I
Did
go
you
get
see
some
that?
help?
You guys saw that? Did you guys see that part in the movie where he said something's wrong with me to his father and grandmother?
I heard.
And they brushed it off.
I did.
Yep.
I did.
And his grandmother was just like, come back. But his grandmother was no joke. I like that old lady, but unfortunately, he overpowered her. But what I wanted to bring up, I'm from Los Angeles. And do you guys remember the Graham Sleeper?
No.
Back in 1990, he killed like 20 black women. They done made documentaries, movies, Lifetime movies.
I've heard of that one.
He killed all those black women. No, none of they families protested, and he got life now. I think he's on a death penalty. They not trying to sue, but they had so many documentaries, so many movies, and he killed all those black women for nothing and dumped their bodies behind trash cans and dumpsters. So we have to remember that too. Them were all black women. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Shannon, for calling in. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Let me read this really quick. Jeffrey started unlifing. Okay, animals long before his father introduced him to taxidermy. This was behavior that he started as a very young child. Yes, the property where he lived is very large and wooded. Sounds like somebody's been. Oh, that's Sheila. Jeff said that he enjoyed dressing as Satan at Halloween, which made me think he was born this way. My son watched it. He's 17 to learn different behaviors of how people could be and how Jesus forgives. Ooh, Jesus forgives. I don't know. AT-Alien, did you see the movie?
Okay, I didn't see the movie, but based upon what you're saying, especially So Deb, I'm going to watch it. But I did have some comments on what people have said.
Okay, go ahead.
One thing that I want to say, as a mother, we do the best that we think we can, but we always can do better. And I was a little taken aback when the commenter said, well, we know what was wrong with them. It was her. Well, that's why she wanted her son to have some tests done to see if this is hereditary and see if there was something in his brain, because that's how we make medicine, because there's a lot of people with mental health problems. And so even when you recognize something is wrong with you, half the people listening right now are self-medicating on weed or some alcohol right now because they have something wrong with them, but they don't fix it. So I am going to take a look at the movie because I'm very interested on the perspective of criminal justice and how the police sometimes overlook things because of your race. And that happens today. And I also do not believe that it's become censorship. When we all say, well, we don't want to see this, we don't want to see this. We watch true crime every day, and this is really all. I don't necessarily see this. I didn't see the movie to see if it's sensationalism, but when we start trying to say you can't see this and you can't see that, that's why they don't want alleged critical race theory in schools. So we just have to be careful what we say we don't want to see, because when we don't know history, we repeat it. And that's all I want to say, and I can drop it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for calling in. She's right about that. If we don't know our history, we will repeat
you too, my love. Oh, hi.
Hi.
You love me, Tulsa? Where did Deb go? Hold on. Sound off, Tulsa. What did you want to say?
Looking gorgeous.
Thank you. Listen here.
You gotta work it.
Like I never left. I just came here to love on you ladies and pour into you. Is it okay if I do that today?
Do what?
Can I pour into you before this month is out? Now that we're going into a new harvest month.
Okay.
I pour into you love, prosperity, success, more stories, more engagement, more topics that really get us our minds to think, and really to show us that no matter what, as a Black woman, you can take so many hits, but you still stand and you still fight strong. So I see that in both of you ladies, and I wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you,
We don't
Tulsa.
do this every day, but I feel like today was a great day to do it. And then we're going into a new month. So we want to harvest um, positivity. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Thank you so much, Tulsa. Thank you
I
so much.
love you, ladies. Bye,
Bye
Gritty.
bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Tulsa.
Sin, did you see the movie?
Unfortunately, I saw the very first one because, I'm 58, so I saw all of it. Remember with the very first movie is them bringing Jeffrey Donovan out of that house and the hazards back then. It was totally different from how they have it now. But when the cops and the oh, I can't even think of who they are, but when they went into the house and brought the bodies out, they come out crying and almost gagging. So the sad part about it is his mother, yes, she was taking all of that medication. And I think she felt guilty that she actually got pregnant while she was doing all that medicine and drugs or whatever she was doing. And that's one of the reasons why she pretty much abandoned him, because she realized I gave birth to a monster. You know what I'm
Her
saying?
character said that in the movie.
That's
Huh?
crazy.
Her character said that in the documentary.
Yeah, she gave birth to a monster, and that's why she wanted his brain dissected. But the sad part about it is so many lives were lost, and unfortunately, it was African American, brown skinned people. And back then, the cops did not take whatever was done to us as seriously as they should have. But to see their faces in that very first movie when they was coming out of that house,
It
I
was
can
chilling.
remember going, "Oh my God." It was
Can you
disturbing.
imagine
I
the
mean,
smells? I can't. Jennifer, did you see the movie?
So I haven't watched this particular movie, but I've watched many documentaries about it because
Hmm.
I actually think that the documentaries are better.
Hmm.
And just the last documentary that I watched with the woman who helped the 14-year-old boy escape and called the police. Whenever they interviewed her, still to this day, was so traumatizing to her because she was like, I thought that I got him out of there. I thought that, it was going to be okay. And the police totally ignored her. They did nothing to him, which, of course, as we all know, number one, they don't care about LGBTQ issues. And number two, they did not believe her because she was a Black woman. And that in there lies the problem because that boy could have been saved. And not only was that little boy a victim, Jeffrey Dahmer also unalived his brother as well.
Wait, what?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Sharrell.
he killed it. Yeah, he
Yes.
did it to his brother.
He did it to brothers. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
know, as an African American, I feel like the police still are hesitant with us today. Do you think
Right.
that they're still the same way with the LGBT community now?
oh,
This
absolutely.
still?
I mean, previously, I was in a relationship that had some domestic violence situations.
Mhm.
And I can tell you that whenever the police were called, they basically laughed at me. Um, I'm white, my partner was Black. They made racial slurs,
Did they really?
said this is
Mm,
A civil case.
some FAG ish. So yeah, I don't think that they care.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't
Sheila,
think they care.
did you
Ye-
watch it, Sheila?
Yes, unfortunately, I did. It took me actually almost a week after it started to watch it because it hit so close to home.
Mm,
What was close to home for you?
Because I lived near that community as an
Oh,
adult. I
mm,
wasn't raised in northeastern Ohio. I was actually raised in the southern part of Ohio. But due to jobs, my husband's job and my job, we moved up north near the Cleveland, Akron area, Bath Township, that whole area. I was an adult. Jeffrey is actually a few years older than Jeffrey. But anyway, I remember when that occurred. And for years, they looked for that young man. He was a hitchhiker. He was going
Yep.
to a concert. They actually changed like minor things. If you did not know, Like they changed where the kid was going. He was actually going to the Coliseum, which was a huge um
Sheila?
I'm still here. It was a huge building where they had concerts, where the Cavaliers originally used to play back in the day. So they changed little stuff. So if you didn't know, different things were changed, because watching it, it was like, okay, wait a minute, that's not the name of that or whatever. Unfortunately, he was a victim of his parents or his father having so much money that his father bought him out of every situation that he was in. And because of that, that allowed him to keep doing what he was doing. The father did not introduce him to unliving animals. He actually started as a kid, and the father showed him a proper way to do it because that was the only way he could
Now,
connect to him.
Sheila. If
I
I
know.
seen my child,
Hey, I totally agree. This was a perfect example of a father had so much money and he had very little time to bond with his son. And this is what he chose to do. And as you can see, it was a monster that was created.
Deb, what do you think about what she's saying? Do you think the money played a role in it?
Yes, definitely.
Well, but from what the stuff that I've watched, when the father found the dead animals underneath the house, he was only 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was doing that before 4 years old, but I do know that the kids in the neighborhood after that were saying that he was literally riding around the neighborhood on his bike, picking up dead animals at the time, and the family didn't know. The kids in the neighborhood were saying that.
Initially, they did not know, but once the dad found out and the parents found out what he was doing, the father started him dissecting animals to
Right,
help to start bond with him. He
right,
started very, very young
right.
doing this, and
Because
unfortunately, the father pushed him off on his mother, which was crazy. Because if you know your son has some issue, why would you put that on your mother?
right.
And that's how he ended up in Milwaukee. Every situation he was in, he was bought into that situation. Money played a part. What they did not get into, he worked at the Hershey chocolate factory. Like I said, I followed this story. He was taking parts of bones that he was crushing, and he was taking it to work and dropping it into
In
the
the
I
beds
shop.
of that
thought that.
chocolate.
Yeah, I
I
remember
thought that. I
that
didn't know.
now.
They never said. I never heard
Stop.
that, but I thought that
Yes.
though.
Yes.
I
Please
remember
tell
that from
me
the
that's not true.
It
it's
that
true,
is a
Sharrell.
fact. It is a fact. I kid you
On the
not.
show,
That
they
is
show him.
exactly what he was doing. When I
Yeah,
tell you I followed this story, I followed it. I read it in the paper for a long time.
He put
Every
bone
bit of it.
fragments in the chocolate.
Yes.
but listen,
Yes.
Sherelle, even on the documentary, they showed him like he was like sprinkling. It looked like it was supposed to be sugar, but
Uh-huh.
in my mind, I'm like, I feel like this is like an innuendo.
This
Like
is
this is something where
disturbing.
like he's sprinkling like body parts into the
Yep.
chocolate
Yes, that's what he did. He was a sick young man. He
because
realized he was.
he fed the neighbors human parts.
Yes, he sure did. Yes, he did. And
I
it's
can't go on.
it is unfortunate, but his father had the money and he did not have the time. This is a perfect example of money played a factor. Every scenario where he got into, had they stopped him, like he had that body in the car. The
Mm,
police gave him a chance because he was a young
white
white
man.
kid.
Yep.
He had so many scenarios. If only they had stopped him, he wouldn't have been able
He
to
was
kill.
white and he was soft spoken.
Yes.
He'd have been like,
Even when he went to court and when he got for the 14-year-old boy the first time, the
Yes,
judge told him that he didn't want to ruin his life. They let him go to jail
exactly.
and
They
work
let
his
him go.
job while
Yep.
he was going to jail.
That was
Yep.
insane. That was so
I was
insane.
like, you have
Yes.
got to be shitting me.
You know what, Sherelle? Here's the thing. I think the father, a lot of times parents may know something is wrong with their child, but may not know exactly what. And I think the father didn't know what to do. If I go, because I went down the rabbit hole, like so that, right? Once I watched it, I started Googling to see who the real people would happen. What broke my heart too is at the end of the movie, how they showed all the 17 victims, like their real pictures. It was just devastating. It was hard to watch. But the father said he had similar thoughts as Jeffrey. So my thing is, that's why too, I wish that the father wasn't in his feelings about the mother, because I think they should have dissected the brain just to see like what they might have found or whatever. The father just wanted to pretend in his head that what he was seeing in his son wasn't real. And that's what, but you notice like in the movie, when he went to jail the first time, he wrote to the court and said, please put my son in a psychiatric hospital, right? And when he went and picked him up from that particular jail time, he said, did you get any help in there? Did you see anybody? Did they help you? And when Jeffrey was like, no, the father told him to go to the car, and the father broke down and he was crying. So it was like, he knew that he had a sick child, but he loved his sick child. And it was like, how do I help him? But I don't think that in their heart, in my heart of hearts, I don't think that the father thought he was actually taking people's lives and chopping them up and eating them.
You
I
know
don't
what?
think that.
Diva, let me say
I
something
don't
to you,
think
Diva.
that.
Hold
I
on,
don't
hold on
think
real
he.
quick. Let me say
I'm
this.
sorry.
I'm gonna say this. I hear what you're saying, but I think that the father was just in denial.
The father was in denial.
I think
He
he was
thought
in
money
denial.
could
I
buy
think
everything, buy him
because
out of everything.
Yes,
because I
exactly.
think that because the father was the one who got Jeffrey out of so much stuff,
Yes.
and I think it was because he felt guilt that he was not
Guilty.
there for him, and he did not know how to, because he even admitted that he was afraid of Jeffrey.
Of course, he didn't want to get eaten by Jeffrey.
Well, you know
I gotta
what?
wrap this up.
I'm going to say this, and it's true too, like you said, they were aware. There's no way, and I've always said this because like I said, I really followed it because it started in Ohio before he was pushed off on the grandmother to live there. They had to know he was doing this, especially the grandmother, especially the dad. When he got to the house, there's a difference between an animal's rotten flesh versus a human.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing
But
this stuff,
if you heard the interview that he did with Oprah, on the show they
Wait a
had the
minute.
part.
Who interviewed with Oprah?
The dad.
dad.
The dad did. And so she asked him, because on the show they that there was this box that the father had with his pictures in it and stuff, and the grandmother gave it to Jeffrey. Jeffrey put a human head in the box.
Yes,
I can't.
And so
y'all.
I don't remember what happened, but she wanted him to check the box. Jeffrey, like, he would not let the dad get into the box.
No, he wouldn't.
And the father was like, you know what, F this, I'm going to break the box open. So Jeffrey closed the door, he locked it, he took the box out, he put porn like magazines into the box. On Oprah, this man says that he knew that something was wrong. And I think that he chalked it up to it was because he waited till, because Jeffrey asked him, he told him, he was like, if you wait till tomorrow, I will open the box up for you. Just don't. He didn't want to be embarrassed, allegedly.
I
and
can't.
So the father waited till the next day, and it was porn stuff in there. But the father said, had he opened that box up, and he would not have known what to do. I personally, this is my own personal opinion. This is not the views of anybody on this channel. I personally think that he already knew. Because
whoa, what makes you say that?
Because the smells that were coming out of her household.
Exactly.
The fact that those men, he kept bringing those men in that house, and she sat down with that boy who was drugged. There's no way she did not know he was drugged. And even they fabricated that story as well too on the show, because she did not take that man to sit down with that man and take him to the bus stop, because on the stuff I saw on YouTube, the man had bruises and stuff on his body when he left the next day.
Yep.
So they knew something was up with this boy. Like,
yes,
there was no way possible.
They were totally aware of it.
Yes.
They were in denial.
They were in denial because the simple fact is the father, he had a guilt, a real bad guilt, because of, he wasn't there, and
he had
any rich person.
And he had
he had a feeling. He knew what was going on. He didn't taught the boy how to dissect stuff.
I can't take it.
I'm
gonna
gonna
have to
tell
wrap
you
this
how
up.
rich that community is. That was the community that LeBron James moved out of before he went to
LA.
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 So that gives you an inkling of how much money the father had back early, late, the mid 60s up until he moved out of that house. Crazy. People were trying to buy this house. This house went on the market. People were trying to buy it because he lived there. And it
Wow.
got so bad that the community actually tore that house down.
Good.
I wouldn't want to live near it or anything.
All right,
Can
yeah,
I
I
just
gotta wrap
can,
this up. This
can
is
I
the
just
worst. Go ahead. Who was talking?
I just wanted to make one clarification. I said that he had unalived both of the brothers. He unalived one, but the other
Yes.
one he had victimized previously. And so they were both victims, but one of them lived and one of them didn't.
Yeah, because
Ugh.
the father was mad because they said he was supposed to be in.
But see, this was real quick. This was a perfect example of
They didn't give him
how
a
they
real
felt
sentence.
about brown and black people. They did not care.
Nope.
They
I
did
remember
not
in the
care.
I
This is
remember in the
exactly what this was about. How they did not care about our community. And they kind of hinted on it in the movie that the reason he moved in such a low grade, no offense to the people who were living there, neighborhood compared to how he grew up, was because he knew he can go to a community, do what he did, and it would become undetected. Nobody would care. He was aware that he was smart enough that he was aware he can get away with that. And that was they kind of touched on it a little bit, but they really didn't tell that whole story because where he grew up and where he was living, totally two different places.
I don't understand. If I can tell you I'm crazy, why do you keep doing this? It's weird. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. This is
You
creeping me
know
out.
why? Mental health is a real thing. Like I told you once before on another one of your lives, I have worked in this field. This is what brought me to this area. After I graduated from college, I worked and still do with people who have mental health issues. One thing I tell people, you can't fix crazy. You can medicate it, and I'm being blunt. You can't fix it. You can medicate it. You cannot fix it. You
It's a
can't
lot.
fix it. You can
Thank you.
medicate it.
Thank you, Sheila, for coming on. This is just overwhelming for me.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming on and giving and sharing your point of view. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sin. I appreciate you
You're
calling
welcome.
in.
All right. Bye,
Take care.
Diva. Bye,
Bye.
Sharrell.
Bye.
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 This was the craziest video I've ever.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, and there's so many avenues where we can take this conversation. And even from the cops like getting suspended, then getting their job back. I mean, it's a lot. And but like so Demonia, I just was going and looking and looking and looking at the different real live videos on the situation, and it's very sad. It's very sad. But I couldn't find out what happened to how the other brother turned out. Because Jeffrey Dahmer had a brother,
Yeah.
a younger brother. I was still trying to dig to find out how the other brother turned out. I
can't
know.
talk about it anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I am done. You guys,
Yes.
please don't forget to hit that like button. It does wonders for my video. I guess Andrea was right. I did not want to do this video, and she said people want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And look it, people really want to talk about it. If I didn't get to your call backstage, I do apologize. I'm out of time. This really, I can't.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It
Mentally
is.
draining.
It is. But you did a good job.
It was a lot.
You did a good
Thank you for
job.
the super chats. You don't have to support the channel, but you do. So I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I think this video has just rattled me. I need to go take a nap. I don't know where to go from here. We got to get back to talking about housewives and Lisa Rinna. This was too heavy for me. So, all
Heavy.
right, guys. Diva, let's say bye on three. Whew. 1, 2, 3. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.